Happy New Year, everyone. It is officially January, right smack bang in the middle of summer here in Melbourne, Australia, and I cannot wait to show you what's growing in my garden. It's fair to say a lot has changed since I last gave you a tour. We have landscaped this whole top area, which I am so excited about. The tomatoes are in full swing. The capsicums are starting to show signs of life. We've been loving the zucchinis. The lettuces have been amazing. We've been getting berries. There's so much going on and I'm going to show you all of it. What you can expect in this video, it's going to be a bit rough and ready. I don't have a lot of time. The kids are making potion. I'm not sure how long they're going to give me. So I'm going to try and actually record it all in one go. So you just get to see the whole thing. I haven't tidied up. So you get the raw unedited version and let's go. I run veggie garden tours here in Melbourne, Australia, at least every month. I also love getting out and about and interviewing experts in their field. If that sounds like you, hit subscribe. If you want to help other people find this video, hit the like button and let's get going. Let's start up here. This is my new space. As I said, I haven't tidied it up for you. This pathway is all new. These veggie gardens are thriving. I've got some new beds at the back, which I will show you in a minute. But before we move through, let's just take a step back. So here I've got that chilli plant that you've seen many, many times before, but it is bigger and more luscious than it has been for a long time. And I'm just going to zoom in there so you get a better view. There we go. Plenty of chillies growing. And this is, surprise, surprise, one of the few plants that the birds, possums and rats, don't seem to interfere with. You can see some are going black here. They go black before they go red. These are the bird's eye chilli plant. So there'll be heaps of chillies before we know it. Over here, I moved my passion fruit vine into the ground and I've started crawling it over this round circular archway, which, what do they call that? Circular window of some sort. Dan Foreman told me what they're called. I'll think of it in a minute. But the passion fruit's going great, guns. I had a few that had started growing before I moved the plant. After I moved the plant, I haven't actually had any new flowers. So I think it's probably suffered a little bit of shock, but it is growing. So I haven't given up on there, but we've got quite a few that I've protected in these organza bags, which was a genius idea of one of my viewers who emailed me showing me how she does hers at home. And these are actually the only things that have worked. So I've tried all sorts of different mesh bags. The possums and the rats get through all of them. They haven't so far managed to get through many of these bags. So that's my passion fruit. Over here, spring onions, starting to look lovely through there. Beetroots. Golden beetroots. These were the seedlings that QP Seedlings sent me through. So those beetroots are looking really nice. Lettuces through here. This one's starting to bolt. Maybe it's too old, probably it's too hot. That is a cos lettuce that also looks like it is starting to bolt. So I'm going to harvest both of those very soon. This is my rocket, which we've already been enjoying lots of. I just have been cutting it off like that and it grows back. And radicchio lettuces. I have in the past been told that if you put like a little really loose elastic band, it can help them bunch together and grow like that, but I haven't quite had time this time. I've got cucumbers at the back there, but I'll take you around the other side in a minute. Lots of tomatoes in my garden. This is one of my youngest tomato plants. This is that sun gold variety. And you can see I have put some of these bags over there. They're starting to form tiny little tomatoes. But my other tomatoes in this area just get demolished by possums. So I really don't want to lose these ones because these are supposed to be really, really good. So let me show you in a more advanced plant over here. So I've got a bigger tomato vine that I am growing up here, which has got tomatoes all over it. all of the bottom ones got eaten just as they were starting to ripen up. So I'm trying this bag system. The real question is, will the bag still hold up as the tomatoes reach full maturity and ripen? We shall see. Lots of tomatoes growing up there. Got a little disco ball here. That's my latest attempt to deter the birds. We shall see. And if you look up closer, lots of great beans growing along this archway. So I'm just going to actually move back so you can get some perspective here. So I've got beans and tomatoes growing over these archways here. I've probably got too much going on, but I hope you're not getting dizzy. Here we go. Look at all those beans. Look at all those beans. These took a little while to get going, but now they're going great guns and they taste so good, fresh. So the trick with beans, you probably already know this, but if you don't, if you get them, well, they're still quite thin. They're really tender and delicious to eat raw. If they're a bit bigger and thicker, they're tougher and they're much better cooked. Now, while I'm up here, I want to show you, I'm going to zoom in on this little bug here, which I've learnt is a passion vine hopper. Let me see if I can get you around the other side. There you go. Passion vine hopper. I think I've said the correct terminology. I've been getting lots of them around here, attracted by the passion fruit vine. They're a pest. So if you see those, they've got really distinctive sort of windowy wings. It's a passion vine hopper. Okay, what else have I got up here? Lots more tomatoes through here. You want to see the big tomatoes? Okay, sure. Here are my bigger tomatoes. And again, all of these big guys that started ripening up got eaten by the birds, the pats, the birds, the rats and the possums until I covered them up with these organza bags. And so far, that is working quite well. I'm not going to say it's foolproof, but it's quite good. What else do I need to show you back there? Tomatoes, 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 tomatoes. Hey, let me show you something cool. So people will often tell you to cut off the suckers on your tomatoes. So they'll tell you that the bits that grow off at an angle, cut them off because they take up all the energy from the plant. Correct-ish, if you really want to. This one, I cut off everything except the little flower buds because it had already started developing flower buds. So if you see that's a stick there, I literally cut that off as a baby. I cut back all the leaves off that sucker, and the end I cut off too, but I left the flower buds. And the flower buds have all turned into a huge bunch of tomatoes on their own on a stick. The kiddos have come up and joined me. So this is one of my new flower and herb gardens, which is still in its sort of infancy stage. But you can see I've planted a bunch of different flowers around here and some herbs. Hi. So here we've got rosemary, thyme, zinnias, and these will all continue to grow and get bigger. I've put some coriander in here, which was already bolting, just because I wanted those flowers to attract some of the beneficial insects. If you want to learn more about that, I have a video all about that, which people have found really fascinating. You can see that's the coriander seeds there. Lavender, which isn't looking particularly healthy at the moment, but in time. Daisies, which I grew from seed, which is a little tribute to the Daisies Garden Supply crew who actually helped me build this space, taught me how to do it. There's a full video about that too if you want to learn how to do your own garden edging. Now, Chloe, I'm not going to be able to hold my hand still, my sweetheart, if you're on my back. So I'd love you to join me, but you're going to have to hop off my back or I can't do this, okay? Thanks, sweetheart. So yeah, all this steel, all this edging is all new, and we filmed the whole lot if you want to learn how we put it in, all around there. And there's my daisy plant. Ruby's eating the rocks, I hope not. But I need to show you on the other side. Oh, before we go anywhere, let's come back here. Cucumbers. Cucumbers, cucumbers, cucumbers. These are mini cucumbers which I've recently harvested, so you probably won't see too many there. The cucumbers are growing up here. I've got a watermelon plant which looks worse for wear, but the ends of it are green, so I'm not getting up on that yet. What's that? That's an avocado peel, which has come from our compost space. So let's take you back to this bed. Other things going on here. This is the sorrel that's continuing to thrive. This is one of my zucchini plants, which I was like trying to grow vertically, but it's just keeps on doing its own thing. We've already got lots of good zucchinis off that plant. And what have I got at the back there? That is a fennel. All sorts of random stuff in there. This is a mini cucumber plant, which I keep trying to trim back the branches of this zucchini so that it can get enough sun, because I'm really keen for this one to thrive, because I know the kids will love this one. And my blueberry bush finally found a permanent home down here. I don't imagine, we've actually had a few little blueberries from that already, but I don't imagine that will continue to produce blueberries until it gets a bit bigger. I have tried my hardest to acidify this soil so that this can be a good spot for blueberries and anything else that might need acidic soil to grow. So this is one of my new garden beds, and if you remember when this went in, this was all silver coloured steel in its natural form. It's all now rusting. That's exactly what's supposed to happen, and over the next few weeks it will continue to get more and more of that bronzy colour, which will be lovely. Recently stuck some new lettuces in here. So it's if you're looking for what to plant in your garden at the moment, you can absolutely plant lettuces, but make sure they are the variety that is all year round, because some lettuces won't do particularly well in the heat. And this is, I think, my youngest tomato plant, just because I'm trying to keep them all going, that they're not all ready to go at the same time. Over here, celery. This is one of my more developed tomato plants. This was Tony's Whoppers that I've relocated. Was it? No, this one wasn't. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, they're not gigantic yet, but they're still growing. There's lots of new flower buds there. I can hear some bees just above my head. Hello. This is one of my older capsicum plants that I overwintered. You can see we've got gorgeous fruit starting to grow on that one. Basil, another young tomato plant. And let's zoom out, zucchinis. So I've got a whole lot of zucchinis through here. These are they all yellow zucchinis or just some of them? For some reason these don't seem to be, they seem to be getting pollinated, but they don't seem to be growing as quickly as the other ones. I wonder if maybe they're not getting enough sun, or maybe I haven't done a good enough job of making this soil as healthy as it needs to be. So this zucchini plant so far is not doing as well as the others. You see lots of little yellow zucchini fruits, but they're not really, they sort of seem to be rotting, but I feel like they have been pollinated or they wouldn't get that big. Not sure what's going on there. I think I need to add some more compost. And finally, before the kids run out of focus and need some more from me, corn. So these, oh look, I think that's the first little corn starting to form under there. This is, I haven't grown corn before, so correct me if I'm wrong, but that is apparently normal when the top bit goes like that. I was worried that I'd done something wrong, but apparently that's okay. And when you see this, that is the sign of the actual corn cob starting to form. So that's really, really exciting because we haven't had corn before. I'll zoom out and just show you what's going on there. So berries, this is my thornless blackberry and my boysenberry. The pot system hasn't been great. I think they're drying up too quickly. They're not really getting what they need. So if you have a look at my blackberries, they're little I believe it's because they just need a lot more water and the pots dry up really quickly. Same with these ones. I've had some beautiful boysenberries over there, but something seems to eat them anytime they ripen up. So I haven't worked out the perfect berry system yet. But I feel like I sort of know what the problem is and I could fix it if I got them into the ground, but I don't want the berries taking over any of my spaces until I've really worked out how I want to lay them out long term, because, you know, you hear of how hard people work to try and remove blackberry bushes. I don't want them to be a pest. I want them to be a beautiful addition to the garden. And I've got another zucchini plant here in a pot, which again is not doing quite so well. I think because, again, it's drying up quicker. And I think zucchinis probably just thrive better in the ground. So over to my food cubes, my nasturtiums here doing beautifully. You can see they're attracting all sorts of pests, which is exactly what we want them to do. We want the pests to come here and to leave everything else alone. You can see all these little minery kind of bugs eating there, holes from caterpillars and stuff. Again, I want the caterpillars to come here. Hello. And not here. We've got my younger capsicum plants there, and at the back we have again a younger tomato plant there. And some more rocket. In here, this is a volunteer. Still not quite sure what it is, but I think it's maybe pumpkin or something. Lettuces and kale. Been really enjoying the kale at the back there. People might tell you shouldn't grow kale in the summer. It's just because it gets usually really badly eaten by the cabbage white butterfly. And if you can keep the cabbage white butterfly away, it's fine. Pumpkin in a pot, nearly bubs. Pumpkin in a pot over here. Again, I think probably that needs to be in the ground, but that's okay for now. Tomatoes in a pot. I have cut back as many of the leaves as I felt comfortable doing because I really want to get all my tomatoes out of pots now that I've got so much ground space. So I'm just trying to let them ripen up, and I really stripped back a lot of that plant so that the plant can focus on ripening up that fruit. So I can then put it in the dung pile and you get to see all the rubbish behind there. And this garden bed over here, more tomatoes, a lemon tree, flowers, herbs, you name it. Strawberries down here in my new glow pear planters that I told you about last video, and more coriander that I have let go to seed purely to attract those beneficial insects. And I think, what is this, tarragon? Yeah, beautiful, yum. And before I leave you, I want to show you what's happening here. So these were some suckers that I cut off that tomato plant that I've told you about in the past, which was the hybrid variety, sun gold tomatoes. I cut them off because I was just trying to basically focus the plant on growing other parts. I've stuck them in water with a bit of nutrient solution, and look at all those new roots growing. So each of the suckers will then become its own plant if you let it, and if you stick it in water. And then it's like the quickest way of reproducing your tomato plants. There's already lots of flowers on there that have developed since I cut the suckers off. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me just show you quickly. This is a different plant, obviously, but the suckers are the bits that grow in the middle there, aka laterals. Some people call them laterals. So there's one. Each of the laterals that grows in the middle here will effectively become its own little plant. So these bushes will just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and keep bushing out. If you let them, if you cut off the suckers, it means the plant will then put its energy where you want it to go. So ideally you often want it to go up, but really it just depends on your priorities. And if you let them go, let me find an example. So this was a sucker that I actually let go. So that's the main stem here. This was a sucker once upon a time. It is now growing an entirely sort of independent plant there, and it'll keep going out that way. So technically, you could, I don't want that to keep growing like that. So I could trim this off here. It might be too young. I'm not sure if it would work at that size, but it might. If you pop that in a bit of water with nutrient solution and kept it in the sun, that could grow into its own complete tomato plant. And that by far is the fastest way of propagating plants, particularly at this time in the season. So is it too late to be planting tomatoes if you're in Melbourne, Victoria? I would say it's absolutely too late to be starting them from seed. It's not too late to be propagating them from biggish developed tomato suckers. It's also not too late to be planting them if you're buying a more developed plant. So if you haven't got tomatoes in the garden yet and you want them, go and stick them in. Just put in developed plants. Don't start seeds now, it will be too late. In terms of capsicums and peppers, I would say it is too late to be planting them now because they're really slow growers in the early stages. If, however, you can find a more developed plant, definitely not too late to put it in. If you can find a plant in a nursery that's already got little buds on it, even better, because the little flowers are what turn into the fruit. Other things you could think about planting now, zucchini. I wouldn't start from seed, but if you can find a zucchini seedling, they grow really quickly when it's hot. I don't think it's too late to plant them, and they tend to produce fruit a lot quicker than a lot of other things. As I mentioned, any lettuces that are all year round, great to put in now. I wouldn't go spinach, it can be a bit hot and it can bolt this time of the year. Coriander also is probably going to bolt. It's probably going to be a bit too hot for. But as we've discussed in the past, bolting coriander is not a problem. It's actually fantastic for your garden because it can attract all sorts of beneficial insects. A lot of our new viewers have found this channel through an interview I did with an entomologist, Dr. Paul Horn. I've had the most amazing feedback to that video. If you haven't, stop! Guys, dangerous. Okay, I'm gonna have to sign off, but if you haven't seen that video yet, I'll put a link.